Hi guys, welcome to this channel. Yeah, it is awesome having you join us again in this training session. Today I'll be showing you how PivotTables is Excel, pivot charts, and perform different kinds of analysis without writing a single Excel function. Okay, so are you ready for this? Okay, so let's jump right. So I've gone ahead to add some empty spaces in the data just to show you that before you insert the pivot table, you need to remove all empty spaces in your data because that is going to affect how the summarization comes out. Having done that, I would then go ahead and click everything. Okay, I would go ahead to a Control Shift, and then I will click my down arrow key to select the entire data. Alright, then I'll go on to insert. Okay, so this is already recognized as a table for me because I've already done this previously. And the name of the table, that's all saved. And I'll go to insert. Insert pivot table from table orange. You would notice that my table is already selected. Alright, so if I choose, I can specify the table name. I'll say all sales. I'll hit enter. So you will see I have a pivot table already set up. So I already called this table all sales. So if I do Control Shift, select everything, you'll see I already called it all sales. Also back here, I'll rename this sheet to pivots. I'll hit enter, and then we are ready to go. So you'll observe something quickly that will have some columns that are similar to the columns in the data sheet. So we have customer, we have product, we have cost, we have revenue, and so on. Alright, so that goes on to show you that this pivot table provision has been made from the data we had itself. So the first thing we'll drag in is the customer. You take it to the rows. Alright, so we'll have the list of the customers. Okay, but we are interested in some customers. Okay, so we are interested in a few set of customers. So I'll just take this up and then we'll look again at the set of customers we're interested in. 1103, 1436, 1100. So I would come here and then I'll specify 1103, 1103, 1100, 1436. Right. Okay, just a sec. 1, 4, 3, and 6. So we have in the okay. Okay, so those are the customers we want to look at. You can then quickly drag your revenue to the revenue column, and then you would see the revenue it's summarized. We will try to do a comparison for 1 for 1100. We'll see that the revenue is around 15.01, which is exactly the same in our pivot table. Move on to look at the products. So trying to look at the count of products purchased by the customer. So if we're dragging products here, we'll see that the count also corresponds 221. Right. So you also see that 2 for 1100, 2 for this, and 1 for 1436. Okay. So you would see that in seconds, we've been able to achieve the same thing we did in the previous sheets just by dragging our mouse around. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and rename this to sales revenue. Alright, and then I'll go on to rename this to products. Okay, so that is done. Alright, so let's say I want to order the cells accordingly. So I want 1103 to come first, followed by 1436. I can come over, cut and paste. comes first. I'll cut again, and then I'll paste, and this comes second. So we have 11,031,436 and 11,000 ordered accordingly. Okay, so let's also say um that I want my products to come first, just like I have it in the other sheet. So all I need to do is to come down here to products. I'll click on this drop down, okay, and I would see move up. If I move it up, it realigns so that product comes before sales revenue. So let's say I don't just want to see my sales revenue. Okay, another thing I need to mention is that you will observe that the product comes in as counts. We had changed it as counts, so it comes in as counts. Why our revenue comes in as sum. Okay. So if you want to change how your values are summarized, you can click the drop down, click on value fit settings, and then choose the kind of summarization you want here. You have a bunch of options. You have minimum, you have count of numbers, you have standard deviation, you have average, and so on. If you're not satisfied with that, then click on show values as. Click here. You can also specify percentages. All right. Okay. So so I would go ahead now and add another revenue column just to demonstrate that. As I'll make my revenue column come last. Okay. I'll drag it again. Okay. So now I have sales revenue and I have sum of revenue. Okay. So I'll make my sum of revenue come last. So I'll say move down. I'll click again and say move down. Then locate sum of revenue. Click on the drop down. Value fit settings, show values as, select that, percentage of column total. So for all the displays here, I have it that this is 31%, this is 4%, and this is 63% of the column total. So if I want to see this as a percentage of the entire sales made, I'll go back, click on show values as, and then I'll see percentage of grand total. All right. So of course, this returns the same thing because I specified the way this should go. Okay, so that said, I will go on and also change that column title to revenue in percentage. So click enter. That is fine. Then I want to format my values into currency. All right, so I'll just click on sales revenue and I'll come here on the home tab and I'll select dollar. Okay, so I want the same for all the values. I can just come and click highlight all the values and click. So that is good there. Okay, so that's done. The next thing I'm going to show you is how you can further sort the values in your pivots. Okay, so with the version of Excel we have here, you can sort based on your rules. So you can sort smallest to largest, sort largest to smallest. You can also specify how you want the values to be sorted. All right. And of course, if I do not just want this view alone, I can go ahead and also add my product as a column. So let's say I add my product here. You will see that the summarization is now different. So here I have the customers, I have the products that they bought, A10. All right, so we have the count of product one, sales revenue, and we have the revenue percentage, then we have the next product. All right, so I have the count, we have the revenue, and so the percentage of their purchase by customer for that product. And in this case, you would see that 1103 did not buy A2 and also did not buy 1100 did not buy pizza. So you can use that to perform summarization in different ways. Okay, so I can also add my products to my rows. So if I'm not, if I no longer want anything, I can either click and remove field, or I can drag it in and it goes. Okay, so I can also take my product to my rows here. You would see that the summarization is different. So I have customer coming first because customer is selected first here. Okay, so you have customer coming first. All right, and then you have the product that the customer purchased to use. You have this as well. Product purchase to have this as well, and we have the product purchase. Okay, so that is basically how you can perform different kinds of summarization on your pivot table. Okay, so I am happy and I drag my products back. So back to the default view that we have already set up before now. Moving on, you can as well come over and choose a design for your pivot chart. Okay, so different colors, and if you click that drop down, you'll see a much more extended format that you can choose for. A bunch of options really available. So for now, I'm going to stick with this, and this is what we have. Okay, now right here in the design tab, you have the options to switch off your grand totals and your subtotals. All right, so if I come over here and I say do not show subtotals, nothing happens because we do not have subtotals shown to the right. It doesn't make sense for the data. So if I switch off the grand total here, you would see that our summarization is off, and that works for us. Okay, so I can, of course, put it back on by clicking on the same place and I see columns and columns. And here we have our summarization back. Right. All right. So if you're good with that, the next thing we want to look at is how you can make use of the pivot table analyze ribbon. Okay, so if you click on that tab there, all right, you will see a bunch of options available around the things you can do with your pivot table. Okay, so the first thing I would show you is the insert slicer. So if I click insert slicer, it displays the column headers, and then I will choose the one I want to use for slicing. So let's say I want to make use of product for slicing. I'll click OK, and there you go. Okay, so I can go on to click any product and it will filter accordingly, and I can claim my selection and the returns. There are also a couple of other options here that you can try to get you exactly what you want. There is insert timeline, there is filter connections. You can try all of that out and play around with it. Okay, so the lesson we want to look at is to assume you do not just want to look at revenue, you want to look at profits or your margin. So pivot table has the option where you can insert a calculated field. So if you click under the pivot table analyze, you click on field items and sets, you can select calculated field. So here our field name is going to be profits. To the formula, I will select revenue. Okay, double click on revenue minus cost. I'll also double click on cost. Alright, and then I'll click OK. So you would see that this is called sum of profits. So I will edit it to profits. Okay, so profit already exists. Oh, definitely. So I'll just call it profits. All right. So here you will now see at a view how much profit you are making from each customer. All right. So that said, the next thing we're going to look at is how you can also insert charts from your pivot table. So I can go on here under the pivot table analyze, click on pivot chart. I can come back to the insert tab and choose pivot chart. So I will stick to this. And then once I select pivot charts, I have a bunch of options to choose from. Okay, so I can choose a pie, I can choose a bar, I can choose an area chart, which will do exactly what I want it to do for me. right? So let's stick to bar chart for now. Okay, and then I'm going to drag it to the right. Yeah, drag it a little more so that we can see what it looks like. Okay, so I'll zoom out a little bit, and here we are. All right, so we have our chart showing clearly. All right, so you can do a couple of things with your chart if you want. You can take off any column from your pivots. Any column you take off on the pivots reflects immediately. Okay, so let's say I choose to take off my product column from the pivots. Okay, so you see that the charts are adjusted as well. All right, and again, you can also do a couple of other formatting on the charts. All right, so I can click the plus icon, so I can switch on my axis or switch it off. Okay, so the labels of the axis, we have our axis titles there, and of course, the axis titles if you want, you can put it on or off. Chart title, you can add a title to your chart. If you want, so if I click that and click inside, then I can edit my title to say this analysis. All right, so okay, so that is good. All right, so you can of course select here to filter what customer you want to see. And you can also sort smallest to largest, and your values will be rearranged accordingly. Okay, so these are some of the adjustments you can make. And you can also play around every other thing you wish to play with. Right here, you can format. You can also choose the style. You can choose color. Alright, so if I change to this, I'll get that color. Okay, so those are the things you can do with your pivot chart. So moving on to begin to summarize this training, I'm going to also now show you some of the things you can do. So if you do not want to insert the pivot table yourself and do the configurations or selections, you can of course come to pivot table analyze and click on recommended pivot tables. So Excel will go on and make suggestions from your data on the kind of pivots that consider to look at row labels, dates, and then you have average of revenue, count of revenue, and so on. Okay, so all of that, that's possible, and those are the things you can do with your data. All right, and of course, I didn't want to show you this from the beginning, and because you may be discouraged from learning how to do the configurations yourself. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video, and this is where we would end this training now. However, if you want to learn much more about Excel in general, I have lots of videos in my channel. Please ensure to subscribe, like it, click on the notification icon, and I'll see you again in the next video. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.